Hi, welcome back to our third and final day of our virtual Triduum retreat, sponsored by Resurrection Parish in Green Bay. My name's Tony Pickler, Resurrection's Mission Outreach Director. On this third and final day, we have this in-between time, this liminal time of waiting for Jesus' resurrection. But then we have the ultimate joy of that resurrection. Let's rejoin Father Ed Shea, Franciscan priest of Gary, Indiana, as he leads us in reflecting upon this third joyful day of the Easter Triduum.
Stay with me, remain here with me, watch and pray, watch and pray. Stay with me, remain here with me, watch and pray, watch and pray. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Holy Saturday. I want to talk about the three movements of Holy Saturday going into Easter Sunday. The first one is this quiet, this invitation to quiet. Jesus has been killed. It was awful. It was tragic. There was wailing. There was pain. And then the darkness came, and there was night. And we were consumed with darkness. And then we woke up in the morning on Saturday, and he was still dead. Dead. You know what this is like? This is like right after your dad dies, or your mom, or your husband, or your wife, or your child, the first moment of awful, terrible grief, heartrending. And then you wake up the next morning and you think, oh no, it's not true. And then you find out it is. And it's deep. And now there's almost like no words. It's quiet. Really eerily, powerfully quiet. It's like that time after the person dies, but before the funeral. There's stuff to be done, you got to plan. But there's this other kind of just grief, just the pain. And it's not going away. It's there. It's just this grief. I remember that when my dad died and then when my mom died, just sitting around, there was nothing to do. It was just so much pain. And we cried together. That's what my family did. We allowed ourselves to really cry together and feel it. And it would come in waves. The grief would come in waves. I think that's what Holy Saturday is all about. It's just allowing the grief to take its place and not to deny it, not to run away from it. A friend of mine just shared with me last week about how his brother-in-law had died and his whole family gathered, and they didn't know, but the sister, whose husband had just died, gathered. It was all on Zoom. And they were having a Zoom meeting and they were praying together and they talked, and Linda talked about her husband's death. His name was Don. And everybody was really just with her. And at the end of the call, one of the brothers said, so how about if we have Tommy? And Tommy is a priest, a Franciscan, one of my best friends. He's a missionary in Honduras, and he was able to be a part of this call. Why don't we have Tommy say a prayer? And Linda, the widow, said, you know what? I don't think I want any more words. She said, let's just have a moment of silence. So let's do that. Let's have just a moment of silence. Stay with me, remain here with me. Watch and pray. Watch and pray. The light of Christ surrounds us. The love of Christ enfolds us. The power of Christ protects us. The presence of Christ washes over us. Let's move now to our second movement, which is the Easter Vigil. We gather in the dark of night. You know, we come together in the night. We do that at Christmas too, don't we? Come together in the dark at night, because that's really our human experience. A lot of times we're in the dark, even when the sun is brightly shining. So we gather at night, tonight, Holy Saturday night, and the church is all in darkness, and there's nothing there. There's no Eucharist, there's no holy water, there's emptiness. It's empty, but it smells like lilies. Because we know, right? Something's happening, something's about to happen. But we start in the dark. And then notice this, the first thing we do is we light a fire. Right? Like that prayer from Teilhard de Chardin, that after we've mastered the earth and the sea and the skies, we'll harness for God the energy of love, and then we'll light a fire. Light the fire. There's a beautiful prayer. I can't remember all the words of it, but it just talks about light the fire. Don't be afraid to light the fire today. It's a new beginning. It's a new start. And we take that light, we bless the fire. We bless things in the church. That's what we do. We bless the fire. And then we light the Paschal candle. We take that candle and we light it, and then we hold it up so that everybody can see it. And then the priest or the deacon sings, "Light of Christ," and everybody says, "Thanks be to God." Like the song I said at the beginning, the light of Christ surrounds us. The love of Christ enfolds us. The power of Christ protects us. The presence of Christ watches over us. And as I sang before, the presence of Christ washes over us. Let's go. Let's go. We've got that fire, And I remember a great story, because you know what happens after we light the candle and we pass the light? Then everyone in the church has a little taper, remember? And that's what's going to happen tonight. And the Paschal candle is you lean it over and light the candle and spread the light to everybody in the church. Well, I heard a story once, true story, about a church. Dave Liners was the priest, and it was in Milwaukee. And he had the candle, and he leaned over to the altar server. It was a little girl, and she was doing a good job. And he looked at her and he kind of nodded, like it was, okay, time to light your taper and spread the light. This is what we talked about. And the girl forgot. And she looked at him and he looked at her, and she's like, and she's like, so finally he says, "Honey, now." So she goes, it was so great. She blows out the light, greater moments in liturgy. Somebody had a big lighter and lit it again. Let's go, let's get this done. But, there we are. And the light of Christ surrounds us. And we start with the fire, and then we move into the word, and we let God's word really speak to our hearts. And then we go to the table, then we go to the water, we bless the water, and we baptize people in those catechumens, and there's that smell of sacred chrism all over the church. I hope it smells. I hope it smells a lot tonight at Resurrection. And then we go to the table again, back to that table, back to the Eucharist, back to that feast. And we really celebrate Easter. It's the greatest liturgy of the year, that Holy Saturday night. It's the greatest. It's got all of it there. Death, darkness, pain, suffering, light, hope, baptism, just you name it. And Eucharist. The light of Christ surrounds us. The love of Christ enfolds us. The power of Christ protects us. The presence of Christ watches over us. And now let's go to the third movement, a little simple movement. Early in the morning on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, notice that, especially in the Gospel of John, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb. She was with other women in the other Gospels. All four Gospels are a little bit different. It's beautiful, isn't it? And they come to the tomb. And, men don't like to admit this, but women were the first ones there. Mary Magdalene was the first one there in all four Gospels. And she got there. And the question is, why? Why did she go? She didn't go because she was faithful, thought that he'd risen from the dead. She didn't go because she thought she'd see him. She didn't go. No, she was grieving. She was grieving. She went because she loved him. Remember, I told you the Gospel of John is the gospel of love. I mean, there's love in all four Gospels, of course, but there's something about the commandment of love in this gospel, the need to lay down your life kind of love. So Mary Magdalene got to that tomb, and she found the tomb empty and the stone rolled away. In Mark's gospel, the women are walking toward the tomb, and they ask, who's going to roll away the stone for us? It was a huge one, And they get to that tomb, and they don't find the body. Mary Magdalene leaves, and she runs back, and she tells Peter and the beloved disciple, and they go running, and they don't find him either, and there's all kinds of confusion, And then in the reading on Easter Sunday morning, the voice of Jesus comes finally. This woman is there, Mary Magdalene, and she sees him, but she thinks he's the gardener. Isn't that great? She thinks he's the gardener. Hey, are you the guy who's taking care of this garden? What happened to my Lord? She says, if you've taken him, tell me where you've laid him, and I will go to him. That's what I don't care. I'm not mad at you. I just want to go. I just need to be with him. It's like going to the cemetery to see your mom or your dad's graves. It's like, those moments of getting back to that relationship, getting in touch. That's what she wanted. She loved him, and she didn't stop loving him when he died. And then he said, Mary. He called her by name. That's how she came to know him. In the Gospel of John, that's how they come to know him, when he calls her by name. I have called you. I have called you by name. I have loved you, and you are mine. She came to know him. In Luke's Gospel, it's in the breaking of the bread. In other Gospels, it's when he asks for food. And all the way it is, it's Jesus coming to being known. He says, be not afraid, be not afraid. Let's celebrate Easter, brothers and sisters. Let's remember what we always know to be true. One more song from Jamaica. God is not dead. He is alive. God is not dead. He is alive. God is not dead. He is alive. I feel it in my hands. I feel it in my feet. I feel it all over me. This year on Easter, I want to invite you to feel it. Feel the love, feel the promise, feel the forgiveness, feel the energy, smell, taste. Bring your whole self. Bring everything you've got to that table and come hungry. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go hungry. I'll tell you what, on Saturday night, because I've been fasting, some serious fasting. Father Tom and I talked about it. Thank God he could feed me a few nuts at his house and a couple of cups of tea, because I've been fasting, and I'm telling you, I'm hungry. And we're having a meal on Holy Saturday night, and I can't wait. Let's do it. And Holy Saturday, Easter Sunday, go search for those eggs, find those Easter eggs, and celebrate and eat some chocolate and have some coffee. I'm going to have some coffee, man. I can't wait. God is not dead. He is alive. God is not dead. He is alive. God is not dead. He is alive. I feel it in my hands. I feel it in my feet. I feel it in my nose. I feel it in my toes. I feel it in my hair. I feel it everywhere. I feel it all over me. Happy Easter. Resurrection, happy Easter.